Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. Today, we're going to dive into something that's actually been bothering me on our TikTok recently. We have had quite a few comments that are saying things like, I've been trying to manifest, but I can't. And it has really been bothering me because I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, I think these people need some tough love. And that's kind of where I am. So we're going to talk about how our beliefs shape our reality. And in case we haven't met, my name is Karen.
And my name is Ashley. And yeah, I have had the same reaction and the same feelings. And lots of people will go there. And I think all of us kind of slip into that spot from time to time of like, okay, where is this? What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, okay, like we're gonna give some grace for a minute because you're absolutely right. Like, we all get into that place where we're like, what the fuck am I doing? But
Mhm.
one thing that I would suggest to people is that if you're telling a complete stranger that your manifestation isn't working, there's something to look at right there. That is literally the program that's keeping you stuck. Every time you feel the need to tell a stranger or telling your best friend that you're feeling stuck, that right there shows that there is something that needs to be continued to work on, right? Like that's the thing that's keeping you stuck right there. That's the program. It took me a long time to figure this out. Okay. Like this was not something that I just fell into, right? Like it took me a minute to be like, oh my God, I need to stop talking about it. Oh, like it was like literally a light dawns on Marblehead moment where I was like, oh my God, I have been perpetuating it because I keep thinking about it when I'm not even noticing. And I'm talking about it constantly where I feel like, oh, it's just not happening. Why isn't it happening? And that whole like, why isn't it happening? Is literally like this is an emotional state that you're finding yourself in. And if you're doing that over and over again, that is literally the program. That's the belief system that's keeping you stuck. Why am I stuck? Keep asking that over and over again. Your body's going to go, yeah, we're stuck. Okay.
Mhm.
Like, I don't even like it when I had a mentor years ago tell me that I was stuck. And I was like, I don't like
Mhm.
that. And I said it to his face. I was like, no, I'm not stuck. I'm just trying to figure my way out. And that's how come we're having this conversation. Because what I learned a long time ago is that if I'm noticing that I'm feeling stuck, I've got to ask myself, well, what can I do differently? Sometimes that means going to a trusted mentor and saying, I've been doing this, I've been doing this, I've been doing this. And I feel like I've exhausted my things of what I might do differently. And I need some insight. I'm kind of stuck. I feel like there's a gap between what I know and what I don't know. And I don't know how to bridge that gap right now. Right? Like I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out what I could do differently, but I'm not quite getting there. Is there some insight that you can give me? That's a whole different way of looking at it instead of going to someone and saying, I'm stuck. I feel
Mhm.
stuck. Well, yeah, you just created that. That is now your new belief system. And
Yeah.
that's now your affirmation that you're telling yourself. Anytime you say the words, I am, listen to yourself. I am stuck. Well, you just created that as your new affirmation. Like you've been saying to yourself for 5 minutes every morning that I am wealthy, I am wealthy. And then the rest of the day, you're saying, I am stuck, I am stuck. Listen to that. That's really important. That is literally the piece of the puzzle that I know I missed for years, right? And I could like rant on this for hours because I know how easy it is to feel like, well, I'm just telling my friend or my mentor about what's going on. And it's like, well, but listen to the words that you're using. Listen to how you're saying them. Listen to
Mhm.
the emotion that you're feeling behind it. If you're literally going to someone and you're going, okay, these are the facts. This is what's happening. There's really like it's not an emotional connection to it. When
Mhm.
you go to somebody and you're like, "Oh my God, my life is the worst." There's an emotional connection to
Mhm.
that, okay? And that emotional connection, notice the emotion. The emotion is the thing that your future self wants you to overcome. I did a TikTok on this yesterday because I felt like this came to me during my meditation actually yesterday, where it was like, that's the thing that you want to overcome, the emotion, not the
Yeah.
situation. The situation is literally just a symptom of the
Mhm.
emotion. That's it. You want
Mhm.
to overcome the emotion. So start focusing on the emotions and the feelings.
For sure. And I think that's like the really big wide awakening is if you are talking about it like on TikTok like that, like think about what is actually going on in your subconscious because your subconscious is going to be significantly harder.
Mhm.
And so it's like that's the reason it's not working is because what you're voicing is just the tip of the iceberg. Like
Mm.
the you can say your affirmations and you can have your vision board, but that's not really what you're doing. And like for like reliving, like there's a difference between like living in the emotion and reliving and like actually just like venting or knowing the facts, like you said. And so, like, the venting and the knowing the facts are different. The reliving is like literally, you're never going to change your manifestations because that's where you're actually living. And that's a really hard one to like understand those three differences. And it's hard because we get comfortable with the known, and our brain does not want to spend energy creating new pathways. It's trying to conserve in case we have to run away from a big animal kind of thing. It wants to conserve all the energy it possibly can. And so it's not wanting to rewire. It's wanting to keep you in the same patterns over and over again and it wants to do what's easy. So then when you're like, oh, let's rewire this brain of mine and change things up, it's like, no, 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 we're happy here. We don't want to do that. And your subconscious literally stops you. And so it's like, if you keep on trying and wanting, you're truly just feeding into that already conscious or subconscious pattern. You're not actually changing anything because your language is still in the trying and the wanting.
Yeah.
And you really have to break out of that and really understand that you have to rewire how you respond to things. And that is the hardest part. So, literally, there's no such thing as try, is like one of the
Right.
biggest things. And if you're wanting, you're always going to be wanting.
Yeah. The trying and hoping and wishing and wanting, let it go. Like
Yeah.
we don't need that. Like that's literally think about that for a second. If I'm always trying, I'm always trying.
Mhm.
I'm never doing. Like it's
Yeah.
never complete. There's no success. If I'm
Yeah.
always hoping, it's just out of reach. This is what
Mhm.
you're creating. If I'm always wanting, it's also always just out of reach. It's something that I just can't quite put my finger on.
Yeah.
When you
Well,
decide, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna kind of change topics a little bit so you can finish your
Oh,
thought
okay.
thought.
Well, yeah, but when you decide that you're like, no, I'm just done with that, it's just out of reach. I hope it happens soon, right? Or soon it's coming. I stopped saying that. I know, or at least I notice when I say soon, and I'm like, stop it. Like, that's not, it's here right now. Okay. I
Yeah.
have created it. It's already there. I just need to focus on the timeline where it's complete. What
Hmm.
does my future self feel like in that situation? Feel that way. That's how you overcome the emotion. And I get it. It is not easy because our body gets wired into these patterns, right? I notice my body getting wired into patterns and I notice it by certain aches and pains that keep coming up, right? That's my biggest cue that it's like, you're doing it again, right? Like you're focusing on things that don't need to be focused on, right? So it's really like noticing those cues and going, I did it again. And it's really about getting super self-aware, super notice yourself. Stop.
Yeah.
When I stopped paying attention to my external reality and started noticing what I was feeling on the inside and what my body was doing, that's when I started to see big changes in my external reality. That's when things started to change. And people would tell me too. People would be like, you seem so different. You seem more chill. You seem more like you've always been like, I had somebody literally say this to me. You've always been really fun. Like it's always been a joy to be around you, but you had an edge before and you don't have
Mm.
that anymore. And I was like, yep, I feel it too. I can
Yeah.
tell also. And that's when you're like, yep, I'm on the right path. I'm doing the thing. Okay. I just need to keep going because that
Yeah.
means that you're literally finding the path forward to your future self that is already has everything you want. You just need to tune into that reality.
Yeah. So I was going to say it's really interesting having these conversations with a child because that's our brain, right? Our brain is wired the same way we were wired when we were a child,
Yeah.
unless we've actually done work rewiring it.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my son yesterday about how, like, until you have it, you don't really have it. And then he's like, well, what about dreaming? And it's like this, like, kind of like this beast of like all these different components kind of thing of like my dad always taught like until you have the money in your pocket you don't have it, like even if
Mm,
you have a contract saying you just made like $20,000
right.
until it's actually paid you don't have it. And so I was trying to teach him this because he lives in this like fantasy world,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I know lots of friends that are like that, and things like that, where it's like, oh, I have like we, especially as females, we glorize this like fantasy relationship or this fantasy life. And there's like maybe 2% of it that's actually true. And so I'm like, okay, so how do I do this? And I don't actually have the answer, but how do I teach that until you actually have it, you're living in a fantasy future world.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also want to dream, but you don't want to live there. You want to assume it as if it's already happened,
Yes.
but not in the way that you are counting money and spending money
Yes.
or pretending you're in a relationship that's not actually true.
Yes.
And it was a very, very hard thing
It,
to try with
yeah.
a
Yeah.
9-year
I
old.
think even as adults, we have a hard time wrapping our brain around this because it's like, wait a minute, what? You want me to live as if, but now you're telling me to not spend my money like crazy.
Yes,
This is
exactly.
real. This is important though,
Yes.
because this is probably one of the reasons that I really had to live in the present moment with my job as it was, right? As an anesthesia provider, right? I had to go, I know that my future self does not work the way that I currently do, right? I know that they don't.
Mhm.
I just need to tune into the feeling of how she feels. And
Yeah.
that's literally where I literally feel like I am that future self right now. Cause I'm literally like, I look back at my journey and I'm like, oh my God, I used to work 50, 60 hours a week. And now I work 10 a week.
Mhm.
What? That I literally created that. And it's because I tuned in all those years ago to what it would feel like.
Yeah.
What would it feel like to be the woman that showed up at work? And I actually don't hate like I used to, because it used to be like, oh, this is such a drudgery. Now I get to go to work and I get to spend time with some cool people. Like
Mhm.
that's how I feel now. I literally am like, oh my goodness, I became that person.
Mhm.
But I had to continue to do the things in my 3D reality, but also feeling this is the mind fuck, okay? Continue to feel the way my future self would feel, right? I had to keep doing the things in 3D reality, but go, this isn't actually my reality. It's like you're living in this delusion while you're living in the delusion. Does that make sense? Like you have to
Well,
keep doing, and then you kind of wake up one day and you go, "Oh, I became that person." And now
mhm.
I can live that life. And
Yeah.
the faster that you can figure out, the faster the manifestation happens. The faster that and now I'm literally in this cycle where I'm like, holy shit. I'm questioning, do I keep working? Like there's still pieces of it I enjoy. So I'm kind of like, okay, how does this look for me? And I'm kind of like in this phase of dreaming it up right now where I'm like, what do I want to do? And I feel like that's the best place to be. I get to enjoy what I've created in my 3D reality instead of feeling like it's a drudgery and, oh my God, I have to do this. And now I actually have the freedom to create. That freedom is what I tuned into for all those years, right? I tuned into that. Now I'm like, holy shit, I'm really reaping the rewards. And it's beautiful when you can see it come full circle and that you're like, I created that.
Yeah. And like we both did network marketing, and there was a really strong like vibe of live as if it's already happened, or
Yeah.
fake it till you make it. That
Mm-hmm.
was a really big one, of fake it till you make it. And I remember I was mentoring this guy, so different company, but he was paying me as like a business coach. And he's like telling me about this convention he's going to and how he rented like fancy sports car, $500 a day kind of thing. And he's like, because I need to manifest this in my company. And I'm like, dude, you haven't made any money yet.
Right.
His family was literally living like in a possible going homeless situation.
Yikes.
And he was traveling to this place, which I know network marketing really promoted big events and spending the money and figuring out the way, you know? And I'm just like, I get it that you want to live as if it's already happened, but you're gonna have to figure out how to do that without spending the money because otherwise you're gonna put your family on the streets. And you create this like um world where you're actually making it harder for yourself to act as if it's happened because
Absolutely.
the less money you
Yes.
have, the more you are in this scarcity because you have nothing in your bank account. So the
Yes.
harder it is to feel like you have lots of money
Yes.
because spending it as if you do, but then it's counterproductive. And so you're literally keeping yourself in this awful, awful scarcity lack state. And so what you have to do is use your imagination and drive a piece of shit car and pretend that it is a bigger house. Or like how Jim Carrey would drive past, I don't know what it's called, like the neighborhood, what it's called, but he would drive past all these $1 million huge mansions, and he had a check written out in his wallet to himself. I think it was for $3 million, and that's exactly what he got paid for the Ace Ventura movie
Mhm.
or Dumb and Dumber,
Dumb and
whichever one it
Dumber.
was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so like he wasn't spending his money like he had it.
Right.
He had a pretend check that he imagined was real, and he drove past the houses imagining himself going into them. And so you have to be very careful to not be frivolous,
Yes.
but feel the feelings. And
Yes.
he used the houses as a tool for his imagination. He used the check as a tool for his imagination, but he didn't go and be like, oh, I'm going to bankrupt myself on stupidity. So,
Yes, yes. Okay, this right here is so freaking important. Okay, because I can't tell you how many people will, and there's nothing wrong with this. Okay, I'm gonna put this out there. Okay, there is literally nothing wrong with this, but if it doesn't happen, it just means you're not that good yet, and that's okay, right? How many people just go, you know what? I fucking hate my job. I'm just going to quit tomorrow and I'm done forever. Like, I'm just going to manifest exactly what I want. Now, you might have the best experience with that. That literally could be exactly what you needed. It could be the thing that was holding you back. Or
mhm.
you could also create the opposite where you're now in fight or flight
Yeah,
around, holy shit, I don't have a job and I don't have a way to eat. Holy
yeah,
shit, now what do I do? Okay.
yeah.
Like that is not a healthy place to be. Okay. You cannot listen to this. This is so important. I wish I could tell my past self this, but she hears me. She gets it. So, but anyways, you cannot create when you are in fight or flight. You
Mhm.
cannot. You are literally counterproductive. This was so hard for me. But also at the same time, I got it on a certain level because people would tell me all the time when I was working 50, 60 hours, just quit your job if you hate it so much. And I would be like, I get that. I hear what you're saying because they were coming from a really powerful place of just manifest it. And but I knew myself. This is what's important. Know yourself. I knew
Mhm.
myself at the time that if I had done that, I would have gone into panic mode, over analyzing mode, and it would have
Yeah.
made the situation worse.
Yeah.
Okay. This is how come it's so important to understand yourself, know where you are right now, but also know who your future self is and really continue to tune into that feeling of what they feel like. Okay. This is such a fine line to walk, but when you get it and when you see that you're getting it, that's when it gets exciting too. Cause that's when you're like, I can literally create anything.
Yeah.
Anything from nothing. And this was something else that came up on our TikTok too. Somebody, I had done a TikTok and somebody was talking about how basically money doesn't come from nothing. And I literally, like, I said to them, I think that's a belief pattern that you have, and that's okay. And I said it like this: it's okay that you have that belief pattern, but I have actually personally, like, and I didn't go into all this detail, but I'm literally thinking as I'm typing with to this person, I have literally personally created money from legitimately nothing. I have no idea where it came from, and I'm not upset about it. I'm just going, okay, let's put it in my bank account and move on, right? Like, thank you, universe. That's exactly what I needed. But that's another belief pattern that can keep us stuck too. When the
Mhm.
belief is that either I have to go to work or I have to do something in order to receive, sometimes the doing is just rewiring our brain to the
Yeah.
point where it's like, I actually do believe that I can receive just for living, just
Yeah.
for breathing, I can receive. That's a
Yeah.
big, that's a very big step to get to. But once you get there, you're like, damn, I can create anything.
Yeah. Well, and that's the really cool thing. Like whether you go like to like Napoleon Hill, which is kind of like the king of like the whole Think and Grow Rich is what his book is called.
Yeah.
Or you go biblically, like
Mm.
where there's Bible verses about how if God is going to take care of the flowers and the birds, why would he not take care of you? You
Exactly.
know?
Yeah.
And so no matter which way you look at it, we have been taught from like forever that we will be taken care of and everything will be like at our fingertips. And so, yeah, you'll probably have to like go grab the water or go get the food or harvest the food or whatever. There's going to be some kind of transaction involved, but you don't have to work or save or invest or whatever it is. Both of our mentors, she did energy work and that was her passion. And she never made people pay her because she knew that she would always get taken care of. And so she did what she was passionate about in the way that she was passionate about it, and everything always fell into place. And I think she was gifted $40,000 to be able to buy her house, I think is how much it was. And everything fell into place. And she never had to worry about anything. And so there is going to be some sort of transaction, but it appears in our current like
Yes.
society norm as doing nothing.
Right.
The guy who wrote The Power of Now, he literally became homeless and sat on a bench and just was blissfully loving his life, and now he's a New York Times bestseller.
Exactly.
Um, and then, oh, there was another story I was going to say, talk about too, and I can't remember off the top of my head anymore. But there's lots of those kind of stories where people, oh, one of my friends, he was mentored by a psychic medium in Cuba. And the psychic medium in Cuba, like Cuba is a little bit of a different country in itself already, but he never ever took payment from his services. He always just let people provide for him. So whether it was a place to stay that night, or taking him for a sailboat ride, or giving him a like wonderful meal. It's kind of like the story of Jesus, like
Hmm.
he never actually had anything, but he gave and he received.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that's like the theme throughout all of these is just trusting the process and being open to receive whatever it is that comes, because it might not look like what you want it to look like, but it's always what you need. This
mhm.
was also really hard for me to get because sometimes you're like, yeah, but that's not what I asked for. Like, I've been doing a lot of TikTok skits recently where it's like, yeah, but that's not what I asked for. And this is literally like me hearkening back to how I used to feel. That's not what I was looking for. What are you doing? And it's like, actually, that's what you needed because you might have a belief system that needs to fall, or you might be meeting somebody or getting in a situation that is going to give you what you're asking for. You just have to
Yeah.
open your eyes and pay attention to it. I forget the entire story, but the gist of the story is this man was in this hurricane and the floods were rising about his house, and it was starting to get really bad, right? And so this man is like praying to God and going, send me help, send me something that I need. And so somebody knocks on the door and is like, hey, it looks like water's coming in around your house. We actually have a place for you to stay. And the guy was like, no, I'm gonna stay here because I'm waiting on God's deliverance. He's gonna deliver me. So he sends that person away. And so as the story goes, he like gets higher and higher in his house until he's finally on the roof of his house, and all these people have been coming to be like, hey, like, we're here to help you. And the guy's like, no, God's gonna deliver me, blah blah blah. Finally the Coast Guard comes. He's sitting on the top of his roof, and the Coast Guard is like, hey, like, we're here to help you. And the guy goes, no, 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 no. I'm waiting on God's deliverance. You can go. I'm fine. And the guy drowns, right? Gets to heaven, and he turns to God and he's like, what the fuck, God? Like, I was asking for deliverance, and God's like, I sent you like 5 people and you weren't paying attention. You weren't actually looking at what was going on. And this happens so many times. I'm sure I have missed things through time. At the end of the day, though, you can't really miss. If it's meant for you, it's not going to pass you by. I remind myself this all the time, right? But like that, it's still, sometimes we have to get hit upside the head multiple times to be like, no, this is the thing. This
Yeah.
is the thing that you've been asking for. It's time to open your eyes and start paying attention and start noticing what's going on around you, and that there are different things that you can start doing.
Yeah. Well, and like the package doesn't always come the way that we want it to, right?
Mhm.
Um, And this is something in like my very personal, very right now reality. My kids are experiencing physical abuse at their other house by their biological mother. And we keep on being like, the system's failing, and getting frustrated about it. And then this last week, my youngest, who's getting the brunt of all of it, he missed a little bit of school every single day, and then 3 full days during her parenting time. So she had 5 parenting days. He missed 3 complete days and then 2 half days. And I'm like, um, one, he's like a grade and a half behind his like education level. And two, what is she doing with him in these times where it's just him and her? And it's very nerve-wracking. And so we were talking about it last night, and I'm just like, honestly, her keeping the kids from school is another nail in her coffin.
Yeah.
And it's like all these bad things keep happening, and our frustration levels keep going up because it's like, how does she think this is okay? How is this normal? Obviously, we're on very different wavelengths
Yeah. Yeah.
of like what we think is normal and everything like that. Like when my daughter's saying, hey, like I need to go to school because I'm behind on a project, and then she's not allowed to go to school. It's
Yeah.
like,
The hell.
what?
Yeah,
What?
something's wrong.
But it's like, okay, those are the things that we need to happen right now because no one's listening. And so no, the system's not listening. And we are having more and more things pile up against her of like, this isn't a healthy environment. And so we have to just sit back and be patient and like be like, okay, these are things that are packaged really fucking ugly. Like I really
Hmm.
hate the way that they're packaged, but it's possibly going to give my kids and myself the life that we dream and the life that we're manifesting.
Hmm.
And so it's really hard sometimes to like get on board with that because we're so close. And the last thing in the world I want is to see my kids suffering in various different forms, right? Whether it's suffering in school or suffering because they're being abused, suffering because they're confused. There's so many aspects of that. But in the end, what is it going to take to actually get them better in a better situation?
Exactly. And that's the thing that is literally happening right now, right? Like it friggin' sucks. like nobody wants any child to go through any experiences like that. But the other piece of it too is what part of that helps to bolster their story so that they can in the future create something better for kids, right? Like it's so hard to wrap our brains around like why do bad things happen to good people, right? Like why is this? Why is this happening? But
Mhm.
sometimes like we say this a lot and I forget, is it Napoleon Hill that says that the big setbacks create the greatest setups, right? So there's something that's being set up and we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's okay to just go, I don't know. I'm going to put my hands up and let the universe take me for the ride because if I keep fighting it, I'm just going to make myself sick, right?
Hmm.
I need to just allow and be open to receive whatever comes, even if it's like, this is the opposite of what I asked for, though. I don't understand how this is going to set me up for something greater. You don't
Yeah.
need to. You don't need to
Yeah.
understand. You just need to
Mhm.
trust. This is like creating that belief pattern of trust and being open to receive is also a big belief pattern that once you start to get it and once you start to like, oh, okay, this is how come I went through this. Like, I can't tell you how many people that have done like Dr. Joe testimonials that have healed themselves from crazy diseases, cancer, multiple sclerosis. I don't care. You name it. I've seen people that are like, I was blind and now I can see like crazy shit. Every single one of them is like, if I didn't have this, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Mhm.
And if this didn't happen, I wouldn't have these open doors like I do now. It
Yeah.
didn't come the way that I wanted it to. It wasn't
Mhm.
packaged the way that I thought, but look at what I've created as a result, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget one of the testimonials from one of the people that healed herself from, I think she had stage 4 breast cancer. And it had metastasized everywhere in her body. Like she was a fucking
Mhm.
mess. She completely reversed it, right? Like gone from her body. But as she was healing herself, there was a couple experiences. She had some big experiences during some meditations. And she was like, I healed myself. I healed myself. She goes to the doctor, gets a scan, and there's like 2 spots that are left on her. I can't remember her manubrium. I think she said it's like this bone, right? So she's like, what the fuck? I thought I was healed. And she like talks about this in her testimonial. She's like, what the fuck? So she goes into meditation and she's like, okay, guys, what's this about? Like, I thought I was healed. And she received in that moment, in that meditation, we left those spots so that your doctor can witness the miracle of it leaving. And she
Mm.
said after she heard that, she didn't even think about it ever again and she was done with it completely. And she was
Yeah.
like, okay, like just realizing that it's not even always about us, too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about being a part of somebody else's story as well. And the
Mhm.
change that can happen as a doctor, like, I'm sorry, there are not very many doctors that are open to believing that we can heal ourselves. That whole
Yeah.
mind over matter has not been taught in school. Okay. Like I can tell you that right now because I work with some, right? So, and I went through anesthesia school. I know, like it's just not something that doctors are in a place to really believe. But when a patient, literally their patient that they've been seeing for 5+ years has just healed themselves almost instantaneously in their eyes, there's something to be looked at there. And
Yeah.
that miracle can help formulate someone else's belief system as well. And so we
Mhm.
just never know all
Yeah.
of the pieces that fall together, what's actually happening behind the scenes. And we may never know all the things
Yeah.
that happen behind the scenes. But if we are trusting and open to receive, I truly believe that we can create exactly what we need to create at the exact right time and space that we need to create it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but friends, I think we're going to wrap this one up for today for TMI advice you didn't want. If you are listening on your favorite podcast host, go ahead and give us a 5-star. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. Maybe this is some advice you didn't want today, but let us know what your thoughts are. And if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let us know once again in the comments what your thoughts are. And with that, we're going to call TMI advice you didn't want a wrap for today. See everyone next time. Thanks so much for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue hanging out with us, and don't forget to subscribe.